Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78, right here in the Loop off of Randolph Street, right in front of 150 North Riverside. It's the building that kind of comes to a point at the bottom. They have a really cool exhibit happening inside the plaza. It's called Welcome to Tribuneville. It's the contest that the Chicago Tribune put on back in 1922 to help figure out what the Chicago Tribune Tower should look like. And the exhibit is inside. So I'm going to talk to Luge now for this story from the 78. All right, so you're getting a look at what folks thought Chicago would look like in the future back in 1922. And I have my friend, I'm going to see if I get this right, called Klaus?
Yeah, that's
architect, professor, cartoonist when it comes to architecture. Those are all the things that you do. That's all underneath the hat that you wear every day, right?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
So explain a little bit about Welcome to Tribuneville and what your involvement is in it and how this became light here.
Mm-hmm. So this is an installation that echoed another small drawing that I did in 2022 because it was the 100th anniversary of the 1922 Chicago Tribune competition. And then we decided to expand it into a much bigger installation.
And that's what this is we're seeing at the 150 media stream.
Yeah, that's it.
Here in 150 Riverside, the big building that's kind of, it does this at the bottom of it for folks that know the city. It kind of pulls in at the bottom here. Sorry, go ahead. Just wanted to give people a reference where we were.
Yes. So this was a landmark in international competitions for architecture because it was also a publicity stunt by the Tribune. And they received 267 proposals from all around the world. So we know of a few of these proposals, the one that won and then some others that became famous for different reasons. But there are so many other proposals. If you look at the publication of the competition, which was something that was put out at the time, you will see that you have this fantastic cabinet of curiosities.
Ah, I like that reference.
So
and this is what you're seeing, some of those curiosities. You took about 60 of the buildings out of the over 200 submissions, and you created this. First it was a print that you sketched yourself, and then it became this animated piece here as the final product. Right?
Yeah, that's it.
I summed it up really quickly, but there's a lot of work that went involved in that.
Yeah. I did the drawing, and then I worked with an animator so that we together figured out how we could make it into a 50-meter long installation.
It is absolutely beautiful. And you said, we were talking off camera, this about 3 months it took for you to get this thing from in your head out onto paper and screen?
Yeah, roughly. It took me 3 months to put it into paper, and I drew it as a physical drawing, like pencil on paper.
That's old school, doing it on the paper.
Yeah, I'm very old school.
Yeah.
And then I scan it. Obviously, it's different drawings that overlap because this is like a traditional animation where you will have a background plate and you have another plate that can make a small parallax on top of the other, and you have moving vehicles. So it has different layers, and I drew all that by hand, and it's a drawing that's like 12 feet long, more or less. And
in 3 phases?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously not all of them are equally big, but I'm equally tall, and then it took like a couple of weeks to color it and edit it, and then it took the animator a couple months to do the animation because it's so big.
Right, and just for reference, so folks, when you look at this, you come into this building, off on the, this would be the south end of the building. That's kind of where the Tribune Tower is now, and it kind of spans this whole way to where Streeterville is now. That's kind of where we end up down at the north end of this exhibition. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
And then you took all those submissions and dropped them into the grid system of Chicago the best way you could to come up with this futuristic interpretation of what folks thought of what the Chicago Tribune building should look like, and ended up with all these different buildings.
Yeah, I took the submissions, and I imagined what would have happened if the Tribune had actually allied with partnered with the City Hall to develop all this part of Streeterville. So I classified a few of these submissions into different neighborhoods that were grouped thematically. So you have some of them which have Greek temples on top, then another ones which have kind of Byzantine floor plans, then another one, some others which are Art Deco, and I created all these different neighborhoods that develop through time.
It's just beautiful. It really is beautiful. And you have the Ogden slip that is also on here represented by is that moving cart right there?
Yeah,
that just went by?
That's like an aerial tram.
Yeah.
And it's running in the belly, under the belly of what's called in this fiction the Ogden Sky Boulevard.
Got it.
Which is a street on top of the Ogden Slip.
Then look at that. You got the Tribune, covers the world right there. Oh, it's just very cool. How difficult was it to take all of these buildings that you found in the submission and decide not only where they go, but to draw them and put them into the rightful spot that you thought was appropriate?
Well, yeah, I think that the most difficult was to choose the ones that wouldn't go into the drawing, because there are so many that I really liked. It didn't really take that much thought because they are very easily grouped. And then, it was. I mean, the drawing as a whole doesn't make much sense from a perspective point of view, because if you
right.
if you draw really a plan of this, it wouldn't be into a grid system. But since it's not thought as something that you would see from as a whole at any point, it kind of works.
What's your favorite spot within this footprint that you've created? This world, it's not even a footprint, it's a whole world. What is your favorite spot in here?
Well, I mean, I have favorite buildings, and then I have favorite things that I think that have that work well. I mean, I think I have favorite stuff that from the competition, and then favorite spots in the drawing that I did. So
Sure.
I quite like the Saverio de Guardi Tower, which is one by Italian architect that's in the form of an arch, which opens the exhibition, I mean the composition. And then there's another one that's coming up here, which is a design by John Wynkoop, which was, or Wynkoop, I don't know, which is kind of neo-Gothic in a way. And then I like the tower that closes the modern quarter at the end of the drawing, which is a design that's very famous internationally by Walter Gropius, who also taught in the States, by the way.
And you also used some of the images that, after this was done, McCormick wanted the cartoonists of the Chicago Tribune
Yes.
to draw some cartoon-like things in some of these designs, renderings. Explain how that incorporates with this.
So after the competition had been celebrated and the winners had been announced, there was an exhibition. So for that exhibition, McCormick commissioned some of the Chicago Tribune cartoonists to do a few designs, and 3 of them, at least that we know, were published in the accompanying book, and they were exhibited. And that was criticized by some critics at the time as not being very fitting with the seriousness that's supposed to be attached to this kind of competition.
Because they took this very seriously.
Well, I mean, it was an international competition with many well-known international architects submitting. So
right, in the architectural world, you told me that this competition that the Tribune did back in 1922 is world-renowned. If you go to architectural school, you learn about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I studied in architecture school. So it's the most famous architectural competition of modernity, which is to say the most famous competition ever. So yes, I knew about obviously the built tower, but I also knew about the Gropius proposal and another one by another European, which is Adolf Loos, which was made in the form of a Doric column.
So what's it mean to you that you were able to take what this contest was and give your own spin on it and have it on display, not only in this space here, but you have it on paper as well, the 3 phases. For you as a professor and an architect yourself and all the things you've done, what does this mean for you to put your stamp on something like this?
Well, on the one hand, it was an opportunity to plunge into the competition, which is something the competition, obviously, I'm familiar with it, the results of it, but I didn't know all the designs by heart. And now I more or less do that, do know all them by heart. And also it was such an opportunity to actually draw these things that I really liked. Because one of the pleasures of doing this is the act of drawing. And some of these designs are so nicely detailed that it was, for someone who likes drawing architecture, it was a real...
And you really love it because you do it by pencil.
Yes. I mean, it was very enjoyable as a drawing experience.
This is absolutely wonderful. This will be on display here through, I believe, the end of the year, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then you do other things as well. Like, how can people find out more about you and the things that you're working on?
Well, I have a blog where I sometimes update it with the stuff that I do. I usually draw cartoons for architectural magazines mainly. So I've drawn cartoons for architectural review, architectural design, and I now work. I have a section in Mexico's leading architectural magazine, which is Arquine. So I think that going to the blog would be the easiest way, which is klaustoon.wordpress.com, and then they can find me on Twitter, where I am at klaustoon, like Klaus, which is my nickname, and Toon from cartoon.
Got it. And this will be here through the end of the year, streaming on the 150 media stream inside 150 North Riverside. We are in the lobby of the building. Just beautiful. Congratulations on this. This is wonderful, and thank you for taking such care of something that a lot of Chicagoans probably take for granted, as far as the story of how the Chicago Tribune Tower came to be. So this is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for being interested.
Absolutely. All right, and that is welcome to Tribuneville. TomBarnesChicago@gmail.com if you have a story from the 78. Go over to the website, storiesfromthe78.com. On October 19th, they're going to have music playing here from 2 to 3 to go along with what you just saw. So very cool thing to check out. That's during Open House Chicago. Be sure to check it out right here at 150 North Riverside.